Hold on. No, won't let me go live on Twitter. That's fine. Whatever. Fix it in a second. Everybody, we are back. It is Taped on Launch Favorite Race Podcast, Favorite Race Channel, Favorite Race Everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, subscribe. Hit the like button if you don't like it. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the like button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at Glen Rockney for Glen, and of course, pandasubs.com, discount code TDL for 35% off. All right, Glenn. So we're talking training camp today. Taking some questions that you guys have. I did go to training camp this week, so definitely can answer your guys' questions. And as much as I can. It is kind of hard to watch like every position. I was watching the quarterbacks the most, but I'm gonna try to get you guys' questions answered as much as I can. But how you feeling, Glenn? How you feeling, man?
Good. It feels good that once training camp comes again, I always say I'm not going to fall for the hype videos, but then you watch Brock Bowers chopping his feet, breaking down to make a cut, and you're like, man, starting to feel like that time of year again. Optimism season. Excited to hear what you saw there in your time at camp, and I am. This year's going by fast, and before you know it, there's going to be maybe playing Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh, and the Chargers pretty soon. So I'm pumped.
Yeah, man, it was a good time there. Definitely liked being out there, seeing what's going on, kind of getting a live view of exactly what's going on out there, and checking it out and seeing what was happening live. That was the most important thing for me. I wanted to watch that quarterback competition, see what was happening out there. But it was cool, man. It was a good experience to be out there, seeing everything that was happening, and just enjoying it. And that was the best part of it. Was seeing all those guys out there was pretty dope, though. Seeing it live. That defense is fast, man. That defense is quick. You know what I mean? It was just they're fast as hell, and because they're all fast. Bennett's fast. Jack Jones is fast. Nate Hobbs is fast. Even Diablo is fast for his position. Moreg and Epps. You can talk about their speed a little bit, whatever. But Max Crosby's fast. Kuntz is fast. Wilkins. They just move so quickly. Like you could just tell how Aiden O'Connell is going to have some trouble with that, or any quarterback's going to have some trouble just dealing with how fast these guys move and the decisions that they're going to have to make. So it was pretty cool, man. It was pretty cool being out there.
Oh, it's so cool. I'm always jealous. I know you've gone in the past. It's just interesting to see guys like, Tyree Wilson, how like big he is and stuff. Like you just see some of the pictures. I don't know if it was you that had one, like a side view of him at the podium. It was like, this guy's massive. We know that's not the issue. People have other issues with Tyree Wilson, but like just putting in perspective, it's like, man, they're kind of an off the bus team, kind of what they were when they had that big offensive line with Osemele, Austin Howard, and all those guys where you'd get off the bus and it was just this big, massive team. And I thought they got away from that for a while. And now it seems like they're back to being kind of a specimen team. Say what you will about the quarterback athleticism and stuff, but they are a big, strong, imposing team. And I like the culture. Let's see how it works.
Yeah, it was. They're so fast on defense, man. It's crazy. That was the biggest thing that stood out to me. Is like, man, this defense could probably be pretty damn good, man. Overall, just come and dominate, man. It's going to be one of those things. So, what would you say is the biggest surprise and biggest worry from what you saw? The biggest surprise was like Jacorian Bennett, which we'll get to later. But that was the biggest surprise. I thought he was a stud out there. I thought he had a really good week. Definitely a stud, man. That's what he looks like. But
yeah,
he looked like that last year. You know what I mean? So that was the thing too. It's like, oh yeah, you look really good in camp. Like, what are you going to look like when the lights turn on, and and you really have to make some plays. So that's gonna be the interesting part with him, is that factor of it, is how he's gonna make it work that way. But other than that, man, he's probably the biggest surprise for me. I would say the biggest worry, though, I don't want to say that the quarterback's too much. To me, is the biggest worry. I think the bigger worry to me, just from watching it, is the health of the offensive line, because that's going to be key to everything.
I mean, gotta have Colton Miller, man. I mean, I am not nearly as worried about Jackson Powers Johnson. I mean, from what we hear from Telesco, he just sounds like it's a short-term thing, and you don't want to push a guy his rookie season. Like, even though we expect a guy like Jackson Powers Johnson to slide in at left guard and be an improvement, you don't want to. Year one, you don't need to just be like, hey, we need you this year. That's what happened with Ja'Cory Bennett last year at corner. You don't want to do that. It's Colton Miller that's bothering me, because if you don't have Colton Miller out there for an extended period of time, I think this offensive line goes from a strength to a weakness really fast, because you have to do things with Mumford. Does Mumford play left tackle at that point? And then what are you doing at right tackle? And that could get scary. Maybe Andrus Peat, obviously, right? You'd have to play Andrus Peat, but nobody really wants to have to do that for a long period of time. So I'm really, really hoping the offensive line can stay healthy, and I hope they don't push these guys too hard during camp. But I don't want this stuff to linger.
Yeah, that was probably my biggest worry, man, was the offensive line out there, dude. Let's get some questions before we get to we're talking about on the show. Did you see why the decision came in Costa Mesa was made? Yeah, bro, it's so nice out there, man. I almost went to the beach. It's right next to Newport Beach, so I was like, yo, I might go, but I had to get back here. So but I thought about it, because it's like, yo, the beach is literally like 5 minutes down the road.
Oh yeah.
So it's a nice, good weather. So you're getting that Pacific Ocean weather there. It was a very cool day. Didn't feel like Las Vegas, where they have to practice at like 7 a.m. You have to get to camp at 7 just to get to press conferences, and then they can start camp at like 8 a.m. to avoid the heat. So it's a good idea. It was a good idea for them. I thought they did some stuff right there, man.
And I think Pierce. Doesn't Pierce want? From what I gathered, he kind of wanted to just get out of Vegas for temperature reasons too, but also, training camp is kind of like spring training in baseball. It's just like DUI season out. Like, whenever you're an Arizona guy, dude, how many DUIs happen in spring training for baseball players? They go crazy because it's not that serious. But I feel like Vegas is the same way. When you get everybody on you can still get in trouble anywhere. You're an NFL player, a rich person.
Yeah.
But like sequestering everybody to Costa Mesa and kind of keeping them away off the strip when it's kind of training camp. There's some better team bonding activities I feel like that could happen in Costa Mesa than Vegas. I always felt like that was kind of what Pierce was talking about too.
Yeah. It's a little hit and miss though. I mean, because in Costa Mesa, you're just gonna enjoy the weather. Probably if you do anything, you're gonna go for a walk or something like that.
Yeah, you're gonna go find some girls. I mean, we know what they're gonna do. I just mean in Vegas, there's just so many more. It's like
temptations.
Yeah, there's just way, and it's like kind of where everybody lives already. It's like summer camp, with what they're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. So he asked about the linebackers. I thought the linebackers actually looked pretty good. Like I said, the whole defense was fast. They don't have pads on, so it's hard. Yeah. It's hard to judge the offensive line and things like that. But they were doing some crazy stuff out there. It's still getting wild, man. Yeah, I still like what they're doing on defense. I left that being really excited about the defense, because I'll get into it when we talk to the quarterbacks. But it was an interesting way that it just kind of flipped. After a little bit of success from the offense, it was just like the defense got mad.
Yeah.
And it was an ugly day after that. After the 7 minutes later. But yeah. So we are going to talk. What we're going to talk about today. Of course, you have to start off with the big thing that came out of camp this week, the Mahomes doll. We can talk about that first. You get the QB competition, secondary dominating Bowers and Mayer, which that was a big thing for me out there, man. Was watching them, and then Dylan Lobby, and then of course my boy Tyree. What does Tyree look like? So yeah, let's see if I got any other questions. I'll get into O'Connell later, but O'Connell, yeah, I mean, I'll get into that. I'll get into that. We'll deep dive into the quarterback competition, because that's the big thing here. Seriously, that's the biggest thing that's happening right now in camp. I mean, you talk about the secondary competition. a little bit. We'll get into that too, but nothing really crazy there. Saying it's slowed down. You can't tell this yet, though. I mean, they're not tackling. So what are they going to do?
Run game's tough right now. I don't think until this week we're going to know anything about the run game. They always say that. I mean, everything's prefaced with in terms of physicality in the run game until you put pads on. I mean, even then they're also not doing like the scrimmages with the other teams. So even then, I feel they said as much. I think it was either I think Pierce or Minshew in there. They're saying, well, we're not doing the combined practices, so even then, like the intensity maybe won't be quite as much. You're not going to be fighting people as much. So I think the run game we're going to have to wait till preseason to see how that's looking.
Yeah, seriously, because I mean that's going to be the thing with the run game. I mean, you might get a little bit next week when they put on pads. Somebody asked me if I was going to be there Tuesday, but I'm not. I mean, I can't keep going out there, but it's a drive, bro. Like I didn't realize how long a drive. I was driving to Vegas too much, and I was like, damn, this is 6 hours. Like so,
become a member of the channel, guys. Maybe make this, just
exactly.
support.
Support your boy. Support your boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And help me out here. So, and I could get out to training camp more often.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely get out there, right? But what was I going to say? I totally forgot my train of thought. But yeah, the running backs, you can't really tell, man. You can't really tell until they get the pass. Offensive line too. You know, because defensive line is going to kick their ass because they can't really like grab. They can't do any of that that much. They could do a little bit extra when I went because they had shells on, but nothing crazy. Nothing crazy there, man. All right, so let's talk about this, which we have to talk about because I don't know. This is a stupid incident. This is so dumb. This is so dumb, man. It really was. Because those guys went there with the little doll, and they got Trey Taylor in trouble. Basically, I mean, Trey Taylor,
poor Trey Taylor.
Yeah. You know what I mean? They got him in trouble, and young guy. He just thought it was funny. It is a Kermit doll. It's a Mahomes Kermit doll. It's a little funny. It's a joke, but yeah. It became like national news though. Like, I mean, Nick Wright was talking about it on the First Things First. Like, it was just totally overblown. And to me, I still have Chiefs fans in my mentions. They're mad at me because I just made fun of it that they did get their ass kicked on Christmas, and that's part of it a little bit. And the Chiefs are a little mad about that too, because even talked about Patrick Mahomes the other day, NFL Network. And they asked him, and he said, like, if the game last year didn't piss them off enough, didn't motivate them enough, then I guess this will. So, yeah, they're still mad about last year. So, Chiefs fans yelling at me like, oh, you guys didn't win anything. Well, those guys are mad about that. I don't know. What? Talk to your players, not me, bro. They're pissed. They thought they got their ass kicked too. So, that's just not me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And one of the first Raider games I ever went to was Raiders were hosting the Seahawks, and there was a guy with a Seahawks jersey, the personalized, and it said F the Raiders on the back, on the last name, and people started throwing batteries at him. Like, I'm just like, you guys are mad about a Kermit doll now? Like, this is just fans brought a Kermit doll, which everyone knows Patrick Mahomes but sounds like Kermit, and they have the target on their back. They're the Chiefs. I mean, sadly, it's weirder that they care than like, because the Chiefs, they're worried about who they're going to play in the AFC Championship game. Again, we're hoping that the Raiders have a path to knock them off that a little bit, but I just don't get. It was funny. I thought it was funny, but the NFL is also looking for stories. The quarterbacks, Jordan Love, Tua ended up getting paid. We moved off that story real fast. There was nothing happening in the NFL media for a little bit, so that's just an easy way to manufacture the Nick Wright, Stephen A. Smith tier debates that you see every day. So yeah, I don't expect it to last long. Now, if they get their ass kicked by the Chiefs this year, guess what's going to come back?
That
when they drove the bus around the stadium after beating them in the empty Arrowhead Stadium, guess what got referred to every single time was they drove the bus around the stadium. So you got to go beat them. That's the thing. You have to go beat them at least once this year.
Yeah, because to be honest, it wasn't the players though. So that's the thing about the whole thing about it, is it wasn't the players. It was a fan, right? So really they're mad about the damn fan, right? They have these situations where we're mad about a fan. Like they weren't using a fan for motivation. Like, it's stupid. That's when it gets kind of dumb. because it is really about a fan. I mean, it wasn't Trey Taylor. Trey Taylor didn't bring it. He just thought it was funny, and the dude posted it, which I don't know why you'd post that. I still don't understand why you would do that. But I mean, I get I do get clout chasing. I do understand it. You know, you get a little, you went viral and stuff like that. People know who you are now. But you know, I just feel like that posted that it put Trey Taylor in a bad position because who knows what happened to Trey Taylor? We don't know. They ain't gonna tell us if he got ripped. You know, AP seemed like he was pissed at the at the press conference though.
I get that too. I understand AP going like, guys, we're trying to install. I mean, look, we're trying to have a new offense. We have quarterback. There's so much under the roof of what the Raiders have going on right now, under the hood that they're trying to get right. The last thing they want is kind of this target on their back. They're getting hated on a little bit too much in the media. I think we've been talking about that a lot, but this does make it kind of easy. But at the end of the day, man, it's fans being dumb at camp. So even if we decide, I don't think it's the team that's acting undisciplined. This is Trey Taylor just thought it was funny, and any player is going to think that's funny. It is funny. Everyone makes fun of Patrick Mahomes' voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he does. I mean, he does sound like Kermit. He's not the best quarterback in football. I mean, I don't know why he would take that personally either. I don't think they are.
Everybody's got their thing that gets them going. You know, they look for things to get mad about so they can get pissed off and win. That's what athletes do.
You know what they should take personal? Losing to a team that didn't complete a pass for 3 quarters. Take that personal.
And they did.
You know what I
mean? That's what I mean. They did. So, I'll say this, there's the classic quote, the lion doesn't care about the opinions of sheep. Well, maybe the Raiders aren't sheep anymore because they wouldn't care about this a couple years ago, I don't think. So I think they know what they walked into. That was their toughest opponent until the Super Bowl, in my opinion, like the toughest game that they had to play where they were like really getting dominated until the Super Bowl when they had to win in overtime. And they know, they see what we're seeing. And I think they know that the Raiders are going to be a tough out. They might still have the upper hand. I would, the betting markets show that they do, but they might be seeing what we're seeing a little bit too.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, man. I think that it's the Raiders from a perspective of the league is looked at than they are different in the media.
Yeah.
When we get to QB competition, I'm going to talk about the media with QB competition because it's just funny the way they're talking about it. But I think the media is low as hell on the Raiders for some reason. And I get it. The quarterback, I shouldn't say for some reason. It's the quarterback, right? Yeah. But, I think the league looks at them different. Right. I think the league is higher on Davante Adams than the media is. The media, basically, like Davante Adams is not a top 50 player. PFF had Deebo Samuels over Davante Adams, and that's the thing. Like it's so when you have to think about it like that, Max Crosby's 18th. It's saying like Myles Garrett's like way better than him. Like it's the view of the media is different than the players in the league. Because Travis Kelce, you heard Travis Kelce talk about that game. He's like, they kicked our ass. And if we played like that, if we played with that attitude every game, we would win it. Like we would go 15-1 or whatever he said. So they recognize it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think the league is not going to take them easy. They're not going to take that defensive line. They're not going to even, try to downplay that defensive line. The league isn't. But the media is because it's the Raiders. And sometimes people don't like that. Just like when I talk about those guys who like talk about Brock Bowers, like, why did the Raiders draft Brock Bowers?
Yeah.
And it's just like, come on, bro. Like use your fucking brain, my dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And then seeing the Giants they had a top 7 player. The Giants had number 7 on their board.
People are mad that they got him. That's what it is. It's like they're mad that they got like a really good player fell to them. And just scaling back on terms of the hate. I mean, you have to realize there's been some weird hate like coming from the league media in the sense that there were Davante Adams like trades being manufactured by like professional, quote unquote professional outlets saying like, here's what would happen if Davante Adams. I'm like, dude, you guys are commenting on a meltdown from week 6 on a receiving documentary and putting together trades to get Davante Adams out of Vegas when they already made the big coaching change. They already made all these things, and he might still want out after this year. I leave that door open. I think that's the case, but it was so weird how the Raiders have become this conduit for chaos when I think they have knock on wood, they have a lot more stuff in order. I feel like they have a lot more order at the helm than they did a few years ago. But now every move they do, it's all unraveling. It's all unraveling. It doesn't feel that way to me.
Yeah, it's super weird, man. I mean, just the way they're talked about right now is just odd, right? I mean, even if you look at the defensive line, I mean, I've been thinking about this too. Like the Steelers have been thriving off a defensive line for years. I mean, they have Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, and TJ Watt, right? And before that, they might have had, I think it was Dupree, right? They had Dupree, and Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. And that's honestly how they find a way to get to 8 wins every year, is that defensive line. So that's why I'm more confident in the Raiders, because I think they're going to have a great defensive line.
Yeah.
They have a great rotation there. And it's going to be the situation where like people are going to be surprised, right? They're going to be like, how do they win this game? Just like people are going to be picking them to lose to the Chargers. And I don't think the Chargers have a better roster than them right now.
No.
They don't.
Not even close. I actually think the Bronco, the bootleg guys are saying that they're like in a similar situation to the Broncos, which I completely disagree. And I just, again, there are many ways, really just a couple ways, but we all see it why it may not work this year. Quarterback, maybe the secondary, maybe a few things, but for the most part, it's like you have to be honest. And people will talk about that. They go, look, there's great top end talent on this team, and they've done a good job filling out the roster, but they're going to be awful. It's like, well, all right. I mean, if you bet on that, I understand it, but it's a weird thing to talk about all these great players they have on their team, these efficiency metrics that they're good at, and then just be like, yeah, but they stink. It's like, all right, that's kind of a reductive analysis, and you're bringing all these analytics in play to have the take that the guy at the bar has that hates the Raiders. You know what I mean? So it's again, winning cures all. They're going to have to go out there and beat some team's ass. If you beat the Chiefs, I bring the Kermit doll out. I bring it out. And I Trey Taylor dressing up like one the next day. You know what I mean? In the locker room. Like, let's go all out, because to be honest, right now, I'm sick of the soft NFL media right now. I'm sick of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, welcome to 2024, bro. That's what I say. All right. All right. So the quarterback competition. Let's get into this. All right. So we talk about, because that's what everybody is. Why people are low on the Raiders is the quarterback position. Okay. So people are low on the Raiders. If the Raiders had I don't know, if the Raiders had even Geno Smith, I feel like they would be like, getting some playoff buzz at this point. But so Aiden O'Connell versus Gardner Minshew. I watched it live. And my thing with these two guys, so I'm not going to talk about from a play aspect first. I'm just talking about what I see with my eyes when I just see those two guys. Like Aiden O'Connor's way bigger than I thought. I didn't think he was that big. Like he looks, I mean, he's 6'4". He's like 6'4", but he looks like he's about 220 right now, 225, right? So he looks pretty big, right? And then he just looks like he just is more in command. He looked like an NFL starting quarterback, right? When I've seen him in person, I've watched him at Senior Bowls and things like that. You could all kind of tell who looks like a starter, and that's what he looked like to me. He did look like a starter, and Minshew kind of just he looked like he's a backup in the NFL. But that's just in practice. Like, I don't know how this is going to play out in the games. I'm not going to say that from that way to look, but that's just the look. That's just the aspect of it from the look of the players, right? And and it's the way that Aiden commanded everything, and just the way that he looked in the huddle. He looked like a starting quarterback, man, right? It's that's the interesting part of it for me when I was watching. I was like, okay, he looks like an NFL starting quarterback. Minshew just looks like he's just like having fun out there, and he's having a lot of fun, but it was hard, but. Overall, from the play, Aiden O'Connell started off fantastic. I'm gonna tell you this, Glenn. He had me. at first. I was like, oh my God, this dude might be it, man. Maybe he turned the corner for camp. He threw 2 touchdowns, his first 2 throws. Jacoby Myers, he was reading the field. He got to like a 3rd read on 1 touchdown. And then he came out the second session. He was like completing all these short passes, hitting Devontae Adams on quick slants. He was throwing perfect fades and 1-on-1s. And then they dialed up, and this is what I was talking about. The defense like dialed up this blitz where Max Crosby came free by himself. Nobody blocked Max Crosby, and he threw one of the worst picks I've seen in practice. And I was like, oh man, so that's going to be the issue. The issue is going to be pressure with him, right? How he handles pressure, because that was awful. It was just awful. I was like, man, to even do that in practice is terrible. I'm not gonna lie. So he looked bad in that aspect, but it was weird because it felt like he has command in the offense, but there's going to be issues where he's just going to look awful, man. He's just going to be some serious situations where he's not going to look good. So you just have to deal with that. So that was kind of like my opening thoughts on Aiden, watching him in camp.
Okay. Yeah. And I've seen it in the comments, and you're talking about it too. He looks like he got more in shape. He definitely, it was kind of laughable when the Raiders first drafted him, just his look and, that Purdue, that he was on that Midwestern diet, but then you let a full off season of Deuce Gruden and Alex Guerrero, they're going to get you right. I mean, look at Trey Tucker, look at all these other people, Tyree Wilson, all these other people that have had these full off seasons with them. I think they've been doing a really, really good job with him. And yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what we all fear about O'Connell is just, okay, what if the defense has the play figured out? What can you do? And I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. And but I think if everything's running on time, I could see games where they actually just boat race a few teams with him at quarterback. I think he understands how to play the game.
Yeah.
He's
boring. So how did Aiden look when he made mistakes? He didn't seem really down on himself. But, I think that the second interception, he looked frustrated. I think that was more because he threw 2 interceptions. He was at the ugly one that he threw, and then he threw one, but Marcus Epps just made a great play. I think Morik tipped it, and then Epps picked it off. And then so that was some of the plays that he made. No, it wasn't as bad. Well, yeah, it was bad. We're lucky they didn't show that film, because if they showed that film, it would have been viral and they would have been killing him.
So and I gotta say, I think we have to note, and as Raider fans, we're not really used to this because the defense on paper and from what Marcus has seen is fast, physical, and they are ahead of the offense. They have continuity on their side. They've added a game changer at defensive tackle who has familiarity with Patrick Graham. And this is not, when you'd see a rumor from 2018, you'd see Derek Carr from pressure from Frosty Rucker or something. You're like, oh shit, we suck. Frosty Rucker's dominating our team, in camp. Right then and there, that's not good that, but you're talking about Max Crosby, Jack Jones, and these people are spoken about in a different way than we're used to seeing as Raider fans. So I'm glad that Aiden O'Connell gets to make these mistakes against a defense that's actually on paper good.
Yeah, and the thing is, when he was making these picks, it wasn't like he was just stepping back and just making a stupid decision. It was more like, okay, I got that's not open, right? Boom, all the whole zone's defense over there. That's not open. Okay, I got to get here, and then of course these guys are coming. I don't care. There's no pass on. You could feel he could feel it too from that defensive line that I got to get rid of this ball quick, and if I don't, it's going to be a problem, right? But I will say when it did come to the snaps, though, too, I don't know how it was the first days. I know they're switching back and forth, but it's not 50-50. I don't know how it was when Minshew was playing, but it was like O'Connell would take 8 snaps with the first team, and then Minshew would come in and take maybe 2. And then he would come in with the second team. So that's what it felt like. I don't know how it was the other days, though, so I don't want to be like, somebody was mad at me on Twitter, a Darth Minshew guy. I didn't know we had Minshew stands out here already. I didn't know that was happening.
No, they're out there.
I didn't know that was happening already. It was very in shock.
I've gotten Darth free beers for 5 free beers from just sitting on a bar stool next to him. They just buy me. Got to take advantage.
Yeah, you got to, man. Like, yeah, man. I'm heading to Costa Mesa right now.
Aiden's cool, man. Aiden's cool, man. But we're battling, like that's what I say, and then
Yeah, man. It's so good. So, and the thing is with Aiden O'Connell too, which I think is you made a good point, is that what's going to happen this year is if he starts, we're going to have some games where he just throws like 4 touchdowns. He's going to look fantastic.
Yeah.
Right. He had like 4 or 5 starts where he was over 870 QBR. Right. But he also had like 4 or 5 starts where he was under 40 QBR.
That might be what he is. But then the low gets a little higher. Maybe the high regresses a little bit. You know, like Carr was kind of like that too. That was my frustrating thing about Carr, was that I thought he was a very average quarterback when you watched him play, but it was so volatile game to game. Like he would go off and then he would have I cannot complete a pass. And perhaps that might be similar to what O'Connell is, which a lot of Raider fans might not want to hear that, but that might be what he is. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, where maybe he is a quarterback of extremes. However, the extremes might get to the mean, the average. I don't want to bring up math for Raider fans, but just there might be a middle line that through the season he's an average quarterback, but the path to getting to average might be volatile. And a lot of quarterbacks are like that, actually, when you actually watch them.
Yeah, so because that's the thing, man. It really feels like that. But I think the difference is the Raiders defense is going to be so much better, right? Yeah. So when Derek Carr had a bad game, it was 35-3, right? That was the thing. Like if he had to play well for them to even be in the game, he couldn't have one. Mm-hmm. Like if he had a game where he went out there threw two interceptions, couldn't complete a pass, it was 41-10, right? I think what we learned last year, coming back to the Chiefs game, is that when you have that awful O'Connell game, or even the Vikings game too, I mean, because they only lost 3-0, right? Uh-huh. You have those bad O'Connell games, the defense can get them more possessions where eventually he could hopefully break through, or Zamir White breaks through, hopefully, or something like that. You know what I mean? Something happens like that where they get more possessions, right? They keep getting the football, which helps out. It's not like 3 and out and then they score, and then 3 and out and then they score. It's maybe 3 and out, maybe 3 and out. It's back-to-back 3 and outs, and then or the Raiders can find a way to get down the field. They kick a field goal, and you know what I mean. Is that the defense is going to make a difference in that scenario? Because we saw it last year. I mean, we saw it the Chiefs game. I mean, you could count the Vikings game too. I mean, they had a chance at the end of the game to win that damn Vikings game, right? Mm-hmm. And so the defense is playing so much better that maybe they can, when those games happen, they can still find a way to win. And then you add it in with the games that he plays really well. That's why they might have a chance to do something, right? That's why I think they might be better.
Can you imagine if they just win that Vikings game 6-3? I mean, not what it does for the season, but like people are not. It's weird how that works, because football is so much about winning. Like people will just be a little happier about O'Connell if they win that game 6-3, even if he doesn't play any better, even if somebody else just scores a touchdown or 2 field goals. Mm-hmm.
The secondary, specifically Jacorian, look as good as I'm hearing. How far is AOC in front of Minshew at all? I'll talk about Minshew a little bit. I'm gonna get to the secondary. It's a good question. Jacorian Bennett did look really good out there. He did look really good. So he's definitely, he looks like he did in camp last year though. So I don't know. I don't know. But what I'll say too is that with Minshew, I'll get to Minshew a little bit. I think Minshew just looks like how he looks. I mean, he doesn't look how I expected. Like the ball doesn't really jump off his hands. He definitely has some bad balls and one-on-ones where he was kind of just throwing the ball out of bounds a little bit. So he's more of a game guy. Like he was running around a little bit more. He was making some other plays. He just didn't stand out like O'Connell did at the beginning of practice. Like O'Connell looked legit. Like he looked legit as hell at the beginning of the practice, right? And kind of mixed in there. And I still think he did look legit, but I think the defense got mad once he was throwing touchdowns on him. And that's kind of how the defense is going to be this year. I think they're going to be, they have an attitude. Like Jack Jones he looks just angry. He looks like he's just mad. Like somebody, did something to him before practice started. He just is angry out there. He's an angry dude. He brings attitude. And I think that's the attitude they're going to have. But I think it was just Minshew. Minshew was just Minshew, man. There was really that really much to say about him. To me, I think if he plays, we know we're going to get. I do think that he was able to attack the intermediate part of the field a little bit better than Aiden O'Connell. So we'll maybe see that, but like, it's this could be interesting to see, man, how that goes, with that. So, but I think Minshew, he has a chance to maybe win the job. I think it's going to happen in the games, but man, it's going to be tough for him because I'll do this Albert Breer quote in a second. But what are your thoughts on that, Glenn?
Oh, it just with Minshew, it's when you see what since I remember when he first got signed, there were people that saw he got double-digit million, and people were saying, well, that's the starter, and you realize, okay, but guess what a starting quarterback costs now? That's not the case. It's like I've compared it to the Bay Area housing market. It's like doesn't matter what the quality of the house is not in question. It's all about location, and for them it's positional value. But for me, I can tell that Antonio Pierce understands how he got the job. It's not because of Aiden O'Connell, but Aiden O'Connell was playing the most important position of the team that allowed Antonio Pierce to basically have his dream job coaching his favorite team well before he even probably expected to get that opportunity. And I think he's going to have the upper hand. I think Minshew has that, as you said, the look, sounds weird me talking about this, but like that Charlie Whitehurst look, that kind of like, if that guy's starting and if he's in your long-term plans, like you probably need to fire your GM. But if you need a 3-game stretch, put Minshew out there. Let's make some plays. You know what I mean? We watched Brian Hoyer last year. We watched Jimmy Garoppolo last year. I believe that Gardner Minshew is better than both those players.
Yeah.
And there were games where the Raiders lost by 1 score. For most of the game was 1 score. And then the Garoppolo-Hoyer combination did not it made that game, unattainable, unwinnable, and I think that's how I want the dynamic of this quarterback room to work. It appears it's going that way. And I can't say I'm excited about the quarterback position on the Raiders, but this is the best they could do right now. And I'm glad that they didn't do anything super stupid. And people are already trying to give us Dak Prescott next year. And as much as I, don't necessarily love the idea of spending much money on Dak Prescott, if Dak Prescott's the quarterback of the Raiders this year, I think that they're a wild card team, like without question. So it's kind of like it's a good position to be in, and they're not tethered to these guys the way they were tethered to a Derek Carr. They know Aiden can only win the job, and then they could move on, or they could just move on and even keep him on the roster, and Minshew lives in a van, dude. He'll drive somewhere else next year, maybe. It just is what it is. He's going to be one of those guys that I think plays for like 10 teams in his career and has like a 15-year career and probably a media career afterwards. So
yeah, for sure. I got somebody asked about BD. BD could come back anytime he wants, but I wouldn't bet on it. I'll just say that I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't put your money on FanDuel on that one. All right. The question. I got you here. What did y'all think of Jack's comment about AOC wanting to play like Brady and Minshew wanting to play like Mahomes? I mean, that's basically how it looked out there, man. Minshew was scrambling a lot, like because I'm telling you, man, the way that practice started, like the offense just came out there on fire, hitting everything. It just felt like the defense was like, "What is happening?" And this is some bullshit. just shut him down, bro. It was just after that, it was like they got together and they're like, this is not gonna happen anymore. And that's when we started throwing some blitzes at him and stuff. I was like, they weren't blitzing at first, but that Crosby was crazy. So yeah, man, the defense it was definitely like that though. O'Connell trying to make those reads in the pocket. They did run some zone read with Aiden O'Connell though, Glenn. They ran a zone read in the red zone. He scored a touchdown off it.
That's what I heard, man. Crazy.
You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Maybe.
I mean, I will say there might be a look where, okay, are you really going to have a guy stay home with O'Connell, like me, or are you going to have him go crash the line? You know what I mean? Crash and go try to play the run. There might be an opportunity where he could somersault into the end zone, from the 4-yard line, just kind of like he might have that opportunity because I would. What are you going to do? I'm a linebacker. Let me stay home. Make sure Aiden O'Connell doesn't get past me. Me, a 4-4-4 linebacker. No, there might be a time where they all. It's clever. It's kind of like those ones where you see like the blocking tight end like just be wide open down the field because nobody accounted for him. It's similar.
Somebody asked, am I going to week 1 for the game? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't decided that.
It's true. You're.
Is Ayuk an option? For what though? What are we giving up for Brandon Ayuk? I mean, there's a lot of targets on this team right now because Jacoby Myers. I haven't talked about Jacoby Myers, but man, did he look good.
I like Jacoby Myers a lot, and the team loves him too. That's another thing where the league and the media, they're like, Jacoby Myers, haha, it's the guy that threw that weird, stupid play at the end against they kind of talk about him like that. I liked everything I saw from him last year. If Brandon Ayuk wants to sign here next year in free agency, sure. I think the Niners are going to play hardball with him and just decide, look, dude, we're trying to win the Super Bowl this year. You can go ahead and just hold out all year and not make any money and get fined. But yeah, next year, you never know. Rosters have turnover, and I think Ayuk, there's obviously a connection there, and he can make some money out here. And let's say Aiden O'Connell has a nice year, and you want to just have a superstar team around him on a rookie contract. I'd take a look there, but I wouldn't give up anything for him this year, even though I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of his game.
Yeah, for sure, man. What are the questions I got here? So, what about the O-line? The O-line it's just hard to judge him, but I mean, they did their best against those guys, man. They gave Aiden O'Connell enough time to at least get to the second read most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they looked pretty decent out there. They were hanging. I'm not going to say that it was they were getting dominated. They were hanging the best they could, man. Those dudes are fishing.
They won't find better. Like the thing is the good thing about it is Thayer Mumford's. I feel bad for the guy because like in camp, everyone's just like, "Damn, Max is just like kicking your ass." It's like, yeah, but guess what? He's gonna Michael Mayer got his ass kicked by Max Crosby right away. Max Crosby baptizes people, man. That's what he does, and it helps you out. It helps you out when you play like a above average defensive end. You're probably like, oh man, this guy's not just throwing like crazy Sean Strickland moves at me like right now. Like this is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Somebody asked me about Brian Young. I didn't really notice Brian Young because
I forgot about him, to be honest. I forgot. I thought you were talking about Byron Murphy because he got in a little trouble. The guy from Seattle or something.
He did?
No, I don't know what happened. I just saw the other Byron Murphy go, "That's not me, dog," on Twitter. The one that used to play for the Cardinals. Like, so something happened. I don't know what happened to Byron Murphy, the guy, the defensive tackle. I don't know how crazy it was, but I was like, I forgot Byron Young was on the team.
Yeah.
I was whatever.
Definitely Tom Brady. Tom Brady's slow. He doesn't look like it. Especially the QB draw, man. The defense was like, what the hell is that? He just ran right in. I was kind of mad Vinny tweeted that out. Like, Vinny, don't tweet that out, man. We could use that like week 1, man. Don't tweet that out, bro. From the 5.
I would just lie. I'd be like, Aiden O'Connell from the shotgun saw some daylight and ran 65 yards into the end zone. The team is shocked and he's being tested for steroids now. Don't let me be out there lying to everybody.
Yeah, man. Anthony Brown. So it was interesting. Carter Bradley and Anthony Brown got no reps.
Yeah. I saw him just in drills. I just saw like just him running like running back swing pass drills and stuff. Yeah.
No reps. Them bros they got nothing. That is kind of messed up a little bit. You expect them to kind of get some reps. No, those dudes were just, they're clip hold. They're basically to helping get the plays in. That's about it. This guy's got no reps, man. That was crazy. Like you never saw 13 or 14 getting any reps. So I mean, they'll probably get some reps in the preseason, but at this point, I don't know how much they get in the reps right there. So
that guy didn't pay. Raider Barry's on the Byron Murphy tip. He said that guy didn't pay an IG quote person. So these IG Instagram women need to understand NFL contracts are not guaranteed. So they need to stop. Go MLB is your move if you want guaranteed money, ladies. So
yeah.
Jackson
Paris Johnson, yeah, he'll start, but he's on pup right now. What did I see? Did Jenkins practice? No, Jenkins is still hurt, so he didn't practice. So my man Matt covered McCall over there. He's probably going to be the NT right now. Or I still think Nesta has NT ability. I think Nesta might be the backup NT just because he's more of a updated NFL NT. They aren't fat anymore like they used to be. So yeah. So
no, he'll have I think he's a guy that doesn't get talked about a lot this year, but he flashed a little bit in the preseason last year, and I expect him to. He has to have a big preseason this year. I think there's no reason for him not to. Nesta Jade Silvera, so that is a good call.
Yeah. I think. The IG person think it's funny. I'm not gonna lie.
It is funny.
AFC trips over his feet on play action. Really, like, why you guys are just so negative, man? With the quarterbacks, man. I don't know. It just trips me out. Do you see any trades possible? I don't know. See, I saw somebody ask about corner, and let's talk about secondary. Actually, let's get into that.
Yeah, let's do the secondary. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah. So I mean, trade possible for secondary. I think that still is an option, even though I will say they look really good out there, right? Yeah. I think as the group as a whole, right? I think just that they have some holes, right? I mean, even the rookies, they look pretty good against the second teams. Devonshire and Richardson, Trey Taylor. He made a couple plays out there. He looked really good at one-on-ones. Guard tight ends. Trey Taylor looked really good. So they got some talent back there. It's just, do they bring in another veteran to kind of just solidify them as a top 10 defense? Like, are they bringing Stephon Gilmore or something like that? And I know maybe Gilmore's trying to go to contender and all that stuff, but to me, he already has Super Bowl, so I don't know how much he's thinking contender, in my opinion, because that's a lot of people say that, like, he wants a contender, like he already won a Super Bowl a couple times, didn't he? Because he's a couple.
I thought he had one with the Patriots. I thought, but yeah, I don't know if he had a couple, but yeah, one of those. But I will say the Rams had lost a guy that I can't remember his name, but a guy they expect to start at corner to an ACL injury already. So they're always really aggressive on that front, and I could see them starting the move at veteran corner. But again, I'll save my thoughts. I know you want to get to the secondary here about the actual secondary and how they've played, but it seems like they really like this group, and they don't think that they have a problem there. I don't think.
Yeah, because this other trade possibility is Marshawn Lattimore, right? Which I think.
I would love.
It's just the thing with Marshawn Lattimore. They play so much zone.
Yeah,
he's a man guy. I don't know how good he is in zone, so you'd have to adjust with him. I think Gilmore can do both, right? So that's gonna be the interesting part of that. But Ja'Cory Bennett looked really good. He had a pass breakup against Brock Bowers. He was all over Brock. He was great in one-on-ones too. He had some pretty good reps in a one-on-one. Wasn't getting beat there. He's always in the right spot. He's making plays. He got an interception, I think, earlier in the week, of Gardner Minshew. He is basically just he's making his way. I mean, he had a great camp last year though, so that's why it's hard with Ja'Cory Bennett. Like, okay, so you're showing again that you have a potential as a maybe a good corner in the NFL. But we need that to translate to week one, right? We just can't have to put you out there and then Quentin Johnston's running by you. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But that was my thing, right? But, part of the secondary, too, that's really underrated is the safeties. I saw somebody ask a question about the safeties who make the team. J.C. Jackson, Colton Miller's not out there, but I'm not a big J.C. Jackson fan. No. He has to play man, too. He has to be in like a Patriot system, like a straight-up Bill Belichick. He needs Bill Belichick. Basically.
I just don't see Telesco wanting to make that mistake twice. I know it wouldn't be for nearly as much money, but I could see Telesco going like, "Yeah, that wasn't one of my best moves. Let me not do that again."
Yeah. So, I think with the secondary, I think the safeties are super underrated, right? Yeah. They are damn good. I think that as a tandem, right? And I think safeties work together sometimes. Like maybe one of those guys falls off, and they something happens. But as a tandem, they work well together. And you add in Palomar there. I think this is a pretty decent safety group. And that's I'm saying. Mora got a pick, I think, on Thursday. Epps got a pick on Friday. Those guys are basically working together, and they make a pretty damn good group, in my opinion. I think they're going to set the tone because they're going to be in the back end, not letting anything go deep, with the pass rush that's mixed in, and teams have to get rid of the ball quick. Got Nate Hobbs was able to make those tackles, and you hope Bennett and them make tackles, and Jack Jones, he had some incidents with tackles last year, so hopefully he can clean that up and get better there. But that's going to be the key to this defense too, and that's why they're going to be able to get some turnovers, because they're going to get some quarterbacks just trying to get rid of the ball as quickly as possible. And hopefully, like Spillane could do what he did last year too, and get a lot of picks on those quick throws. Those quarterbacks trying to get rid of the ball. But yeah, the D line makes up for everything. But they're so fast in the secondary because Hobbs was doing damn good in 1-on-1s against Devontae. Devontae was killing everybody else, but Hobbs, looked pretty good. Jack Jones is getting beat 1-on-1s. That's what I'm saying. Myers was just balling. He just looks like a totally different player. And but yeah, the secondary has me. I feel better about the secondary than when I went there initially, but you got to see in the games, man. We got to see in the games there.
And it sounds to me like DeCamerion Richardson flashed a little bit, just from what I heard from the press conferences, that there's some people saying like he's an imposing figure out there. Obviously, we hope he doesn't play a lot early, but the DeCamerion Richardson, they're saying the size, the speed, the athleticism's there, and he plays hard. He's a good tackler. So that's another guy that you can, again, we hope he doesn't play too early. If he plays too early, that means there's a lot of things going wrong in the secondary, but he might be a nice developmental player, because Bennett's last year was not supposed to play the amount that he played early in the season. And I hope DeCamerion Richardson could get on a 2 to 3 year timeline where he contributes on special teams early and then finds a way to eventually become a starter on this team, or just depth, good depth like Amik Robertson was. And there's a lot of good young talent. I'd still like to see a veteran in there, a veteran that could even be beat out, right? You bring that veteran in, maybe the veteran gets beat out. Because last year, unfortunately, Marcus Peters got brought in. He wasn't good, but who was going to take his job?
Yeah,
there wasn't that person to come in and take the job. And I think this year there's that, Bennett year 2 face on, right? Or even Richardson. These guys could be there to take that veteran's job, or you have a good veteran. That's why I'd still like to see them do it, but I don't think they will now at this point.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. See some of these questions. How do you feel about the flow of the offensive play call? It's a good question. And I'm going to save this question. Kenneth, I got you. I'm going to save this question for when we get to tight ends. Okay. That's going to be the key part of it. I got to save this question for you. Thoughts on Eckenberg and Taylor. It was hard to really notice the linebackers too much, to be honest. But I like Trey Taylor out there. I thought Trey Taylor looked really good in the 1-on-1s. He was guarding up those tight ends, man. So that's was his job to me. If he gets a chance to play year 1, that's what he could do. He's pretty damn good at man coverage, right? And he's long. He has some good movement skills, and he could play 1-on-1 coverage against tight ends. And you saw it in the 1-on-1s. He was able to get in there and get those hands on those guys and keep those guys out of the red zone. So I thought Taylor looked really good. And when Eichenberg's out there, he's more of a run guy.
Yeah.
So you definitely will see more from him when they get the pads on. To be honest.
Yeah, I expect Tommy Eichenberg on a preseason game to just light somebody up, and that's how he's going to be noticed if he's going to show out. And I'm sure in pads too. But yeah, his game is downhill, old school, stop the run, first and second down, maybe some coverage upside, but that's going to be his game. Special teams, all that stuff, and that's the stuff you see in preseason games and in pads.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Bennett's big problem last year was mental. Yes, it was.
He wasn't supposed to be playing. We shouldn't have been starting. I mean, we had to, right? The Raiders had to, but starting a 4th round corner in his rookie year, it's how often does that go well? I mean, yeah, you saw Tyree Wilson and guys like that, but more often than not, that means something went horribly wrong. And this should be the year where he's starting to kind of stand out and force himself into the starting rotation. And by year 2 and 3, that's how the natural development works. And like I said about DeCamerion Richardson, I'm hoping that's his trajectory. And you want to constantly have those guys to develop as depth. And if Bennett goes and wins the job, I'm not going to be panicking like everybody else, because I do think he has it. It's just, man, it's Devontae Adams was right. They should do the receiver show with corners next year. It's not quite the star power, but he goes, that position requires just an insane Men in Black red light that erases your memory. Like that's what that requires more than anything, because you get beat bad and it can ruin a game and you have to forget about it.
Exactly. Could you see the Raiders use their DBs to match up against specific wide receivers and tight ends? I don't know how much man they're going to play this year, to be honest, with these guys out there. That's the thing. I mean, they're going to play man, but I doubt they're going to try to do that as much, because you got to think about like Divine Diablo and stuff like that. I mean, if you play man, he's got to play man too. It's just not the corners, you know what I mean? Like, it gets deeper than that. So it's going to be harder for them to do that. And I don't know if they have the linebackers, because even Spillane, he was great in zone last year. He was great reading the field, getting back to his spots, getting picks that way. But you start playing man with him, it gets a little interesting there. That's what I would say about that. I saw somebody ask me about the wide receivers. I missed that one. Where was that question at?
So wide receiver 4, as the Gallup. I thought there was a question about Gallup.
Gallup, wide receiver 4. That's gonna be interesting too. Who's gonna be wide receiver 4 right now? I know people really like. I like Tula Griffin, but you know who was actually pretty good out there was Alex Bachman, right? And the reason why I noticed him so much, because he was a wide receiver, the number 33. And that really stood out to me. I was like, because at first I thought he was Dylan Lobby for a second.
Yeah.
But, he looked pretty good out there. It was super interesting. I was like, well, I don't know about Alex. Alex is a special teams guy too. He might sneak onto this football team. So, but he looked pretty decent, man.
I always thought Gallup was here to kind of push Trey Tucker, not Trey Taylor, to push Trey Tucker into. I still thought there was a chance that Michael Gallup was going to get cut if Trey Tucker really stood out in the preseason. It sounds like from all accounts that it looks like Trey Tucker's ready to make a leap, become way more of an all-around receiver. And I thought that there was still going to be. I thought Michael Gallup was going to be like rounding out the back end of the roster more so, rather than kind of like a DeAndre Carter was last year. So with him retiring, I do think it opens the door for a Tulu Griffin. I think they're still going to want one guy to just get downfield, or the Bachman that you said. I do think that it opens up the door for those guys, but I do think Gallup's role was to be like, okay, Trey Tucker, are you better than a veteran like Michael Gallup?
Yeah.
And well, I don't know why Gallup retired. If it was injury or something like that, but maybe he found out he wasn't.
Yeah, because people say he's getting run at first team DT, but John Jenkins isn't out there, so they're probably just kind of trying to see what's going on. And
John Jenkins is 35 too. He's not, he's gonna be one of those guys that gets a lot of veteran days off even during the season too. So
yeah. Guyton will be back, but when you're not out there in practice, and it's like for wide receiver 4 and those things like that. Yeah. And I was gonna say Wilkerson too. Wilkerson is a forgotten guy, so he might be a wide receiver 4.
And he's a blocker. He blocks. That's one thing Wilkerson was making his way with, and he's a preseason guy. He might flash in the preseason. That's a good point. I forgot about him.
Yeah. So and he played a lot week 1 last year.
He did.
He was wide open for a touchdown. Jimmy Garoppolo missed him. So
no way.
For that. Yeah.
You're telling me for the first time. That's crazy. Jimmy Garoppolo missed one? No.
Wide open.
Yeah.
All right. So what else? All right. So let's get into Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer here, which I just want to talk about. These guys are studs. I just want to point this out. I really it's hard. It's kind of hard to explain here how these guys are like just two studs, right? And like they're using Brock Bowers everywhere. So somebody asked me about the flow of the offense. The flow of the offense really is a lot of 12 personnel, right? And you got Mayer is in line, Bowers is everywhere. Okay, Bowers is in the backfield. He'll catch a ball out of the backfield, swing route. He'll be at X. He'll run a route out at X. He'll be in the slot. He'll run a route from the slot, right? He is everywhere, right? He's just all over the place. And that is something that we're going to see with Brock Bowers. But Michael Mayer was out there a lot too. So it's not like, to me, it was like Mayer never really came off the field. That was the difference when I saw it, is that he, when they win 11 personnel and did some things like that. Brock Bowers, you mixed in with him a little bit, but Mayer is a staple too. I think that he's a staple, and he was killing people one-on-ones. Brock Bowers and him, they're. I was talking about Trey Taylor. Trey Taylor had like one good rep against somebody. I think he was against Harrison Bryant, to be honest, because Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers were dominating. They were dominant. They even made it to on the Raiders' little clip on Instagram. That's showing the dominance that they were doing in one-on-ones, and having him as the inline guy, because he really didn't move around too much. I'm gonna keep it real. You didn't see him move around, be out there. I think they moved Harrison Bryant around a little bit more than he did. Like Mayer's the inline guy, and then Bowers is going to be everywhere, and he's so fast, man. He stands out. Like you can't miss him when he's out there playing. It's just, to me, it feels like a steal a little bit. It still feels like a steal at the end of the day.
And you hear the way the players talk about him. Devontae Adams is, he's kind of one of those guys that every compliment he gives is kind of like complimenting your inferiors. Kind of like, yeah, no, he's good at like what he does. He's tight, like he does a couple things like real well, and he's like a beast at that. But when he was talking about Brock Bowers and a couple other guys, I think Minshew was saying the same thing. They're like, dude, that guy is like cold as ice. Like he is just, it's just a different, they're talking about him like somebody they haven't quite seen before, in the league. And rookies don't usually get love like that from players. Rookies are like, hold my bags, kind of like, well, to tell it, they're trying to get on him for not talking a lot, which is kind of funny. Like, cause they're like, oh, we need him to tell Joe. They're trying to embarrass him that way because he's embarrassing guys out there on the field. And I just saw a couple clips of him, from the team accounts where just getting in and out of his breaks. It was just like, wow, that there's not a lot of 6'3" guys that move that way with the size that he has, even though he's technically undersized for like the true Y that Mayer is, which is why they complement each other so well. I'm super excited. And with having Bowers, Lauby, guys like that, that's perfect for a guy like Aiden O'Connell, for where if pressure does get to him a little bit, you hope that those guys are just wide open underneath, because they can make things happen and convert like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8s on a 2 to 3 yard pass. And that's really what they need. They didn't have that last year.
Yeah, man. He's got 2 outlets. And
exactly.
He's got 2 outlets that you can just check it down to, and they can make plays. I just liked how they were using Bowers out of the backfield. I think that's okay. Thank you, Getsy, for being halfway smart. To be honest, I do think it's going to be a short passing team.
Yeah,
especially with Aiden O'Connell in there, because Aiden O'Connell looked really good on the short passes, getting rid of the ball quick when they're trying to get the ball out of his hands quick on the slants and the quick outs and stuff like that, and keeping the chains moving. It was very horizontal. I think Q from Raider Nation Radio said that it was very horizontal. There was a lot of screens. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. There was quite a few screens. So it's going to be horizontal. And I know that's what he got killed for in Chicago a little bit. But I think that's how they're going to play. I mean, that's going to be the basic way. And they got the playmakers for it, though. If I could just get the ball in these guys' hands and make plays that way, then we could, get something going and keep the offense moving, right? Keep the chains ahead of us, run the ball, quick throws, quick passes, then every once in a while hit him with something deep. I just wouldn't expect that, super explosive stuff, but I think they're going to try to take their chances at the right times. And it's not going to be like 1,000 paper cuts every single time. You see Trey Tucker and then out there making plays, but I really feel like they're really working on a short game right now. So, yeah, man. But yeah, I'm excited about those guys.
I'm excited. I think I think they'll be fighting over wide receiver 2 and 3 a lot, or as far as target share goes. I think like a few of those guys are going to be like the 2 and 3 on the team. Adams is the number 1, but there might be games where it's the Mayer and Bowers games, or one of the two, and then Tucker is there. I think Tucker doesn't get enough credit for that. He actually can run routes and stuff and win at all levels of the field. But Tucker will be there to kind of just drop the hammer on people and just kind of like, oh, I forgot that they were kind of similar to what the Niners do. The Niners just kind of just middle of the field, 10, 13 yard gains, and then all of a sudden, you get that Ayuk deep play, Juwan Jennings big play, just a lot of these it's kind of similar to what I want the Raiders to be building. And I think it's the horizontal game works when you have a guy like Bowers, and Mayer is good after the catch too, which a lot of Raider fans don't understand that yet, but they'll know.
Yeah. Let's get some of these questions here. Let's see. Thoughts on big body wide receiver Tennessee? Yeah, Keaton. He is a deep threat. He didn't run much of the route tree at Tennessee, but I think he might have a chance to make this team because I heard that he was getting some reps out there, but I just didn't see too many plays from those guys. Like they look pretty good. Like Richardson and Devonshire played pretty well too. That's the thing. So that was kind of the highlight of it too as well. You kind of saw the secondary of those guys. They're locking up that second team a little bit. So it was pretty good. Any Chris Warren, it was hard for me to figure it out, but Sincere McCormick looked pretty good.
Man,
catching the ball, catching the ball at the backfield, he looked pretty damn good doing that. So if you want to have your Chris Warren, it's Sincere McCormick. So.
I think I'm gonna say Tulu Griffin is the Chris Warren this year. I'm gonna say I think he's gonna have two big touchdowns that just go crazy, and people are gonna just be posting the clip. NFL media will post it, That's my call.
Yeah, for sure, man. Did you see the kickoff routine? Who was your returner? So I did see the kickoff routine. It's actually pretty cool in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty cool stuff. But it's Trey Tucker, Jack Jones, and Nate Hobbs. What is what I saw? I'm trying to remember. Did I miss somebody? Dylan Lobby. So Lobby, Tucker, Hobbs, and Jones were taking reps there. Tucker was the main guy though. So it's Trey Tucker is the main guy taking reps, especially for kickoff. So it's gonna be his show, to be honest. Probably him and Dylan Lobby are probably mixing in there. But it was mostly Trey Tucker. They did mix in Nate Hobbs, which I thought was interesting.
He's fast.
He's fast. He is really fast. Yeah, so that was interesting with that. But I really like Trey Tucker back there, Dylan Lobby. They're getting some work back there. See in the reboot, can we expect something special? It was hard to tell for running backs. It's hard to tell running backs for practice. We're going to see it in camp, but the room just they did look like they all can catch the football. That's all I know because they were able to. They were there's no drops from the running backs. They were able to run some pretty good routes. So I mean, besides Madison, they're pretty good out there. What else we got? Was Carlson the kicker? Come on, man. What do you think is the kicker?
No,
I hope so.
No, that's actually what they signed Gardner Minshew. He's kicking. Yeah. Whoever loses the quarterback battle has to be the kicker. Sorry, Daniel Carlson.
Yeah, for sure. Red zone was the focus for practice, but they did some middle of the field stuff too. It was more like inside the 50. So the other part of it they call the fringe. So I would say it was more fringe and red zone work. Are you going to grow the mustache, Glenn? They want to know if you're going to grow the mustache.
There are things that are physically impossible to happen on this world. What you see is my max out. Now on my head, the hair grows like nothing. On my face, it's rough, dude. I just hate to break it. This is all I got. So unfortunately, it can't happen. But this is O'Connell. I can't do either guy's mustache. Even O'Connell's got me beat. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. There's this question here. Can you explain more about a horizontal offense, strengths and weaknesses? So the horizontal offense, what I mean by that is basically like there's going to be a lot of quick passes, getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly. That's from screens to, kind of slants to quick outs, choice routes, all those type of things to kind of get the ball out of the quarterback's hands. Now, there's two things to this. So the strengths of it is, of course, getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly. You stay on schedule for the most part, and you're going to be dependent on yak ability because, that's basically what Kyle Shanahan is. Kyle Shanahan got a little bit more vertical, but he's been horizontal for the longest. They throw a lot of screens to Debo. They throw a lot of screens to George Kittle. Christian McCaffrey is catching a flat route, trying to make a play. That's what we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of those type of things where it gets horizontal. Of course, NFL, you need explosive plays, though, right? Mm-hmm. So out of that horizontal offense, it's really dependent on yak. You have to have a quarterback that's accurate, gets the ball out of his hands quick, so they can have yak.
Yeah, and you want to open up the seams for these tight ends. So if I think you can set things up with a horizontal attack, right? Get it tough, and then you have these two good tight ends. Whoever's in the slot or anything, you want to open up that seam to really. That's what the Niners do with Kittle is they just attack you in the flats, and then all of a sudden it's just a kill shot in the middle, and that's. I don't mind that approach. I think that's the way the game is headed, and as long as you can run the ball, which is. Again, we still haven't seen yet from the Raiders, as you've mentioned. But as long as you can do that, it's not a bad approach.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. That one. How long have you Raider Brothers been doing your thing? I'm like 5 years now, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that? I don't even fucking know anymore.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, bro. We were at Costa Mesa. Do you know how fans get access? To be honest, I don't know, man. I got a media pass, so I wasn't really. I don't know how fans get access because it says that the fans can't go, but then there are fans there, so I was mad confused. To be honest.
Dang, you gotta, Marcus just stiff armed you. You're not going to camp, dude. Sorry.
I don't know. Maybe somebody else can tell.
Yeah, no, I can go. Yeah, they let people in. It's just, not just anybody.
Just not anybody.
Yeah, just like Wayne's World, just flashing a little pass at the Alice Cooper.
Look like the Dallas offense, like is Getsy McCarthy guy, or I would say it's more like. I would say to me, it looked more like the Shanahan offenses, which all these guys stem from, anyways. So that's what it looked like more. It looked more like a Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo offense. I'm not gonna say the Shanahan Brock Purdy offense because he did stretch the field a little bit more with Brock Purdy, but more like that, more like a Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo offense. And I'm not saying that Aiden O'Connell, Jimmy Garoppolo. We all know that we saw the difference. So hopefully, we're Raiders fans, we get the reference here. But it's just gonna be more of that type of offense where it's get out of the ball, his hands out of the ball quick, not too many deep throws. Because I didn't see one. So that's probably going to be more the issue than anything else,
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm for it. I don't want O'Connell holding that ball forever.
Okay, yeah. All right. So, yeah, I guess it's select season ticket holders, I guess. So,
okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. Did I notice anything about AP? AP just seems real chill at practice. He's not like really a yeller.
That's what they say. Yeah.
Yeah. Josh McDaniels that dude was yelling like the whole time.
It's a visor thing, dude. Gruden was the same way. It's a visor thing. Guys with visors yell, man.
Yeah, and we were actually able to walk around the field. So I like AP even better than that because we were able to just walk around the field. Like with Josh McDaniels, we needed like binoculars to watch what was going on with one-on-ones. I could literally just watch it live. I actually was too close. I almost got ran over by Malcolm Kuntz. That was the highlight of my whole camp. I almost got ran over by Malcolm Kuntz. It felt right because I was the biggest Malcolm Kuntz fan just to get almost ran over because he touched me. He was like, "Oh, my bad, dude." I kind of moved a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
There's like those like old medieval, but it would be honored to die by your sword, my king. Like
highlight of the week, man.
I thought it was funny too. The Josh McDaniels. I just picture you putting your binoculars on, doing like Tom Clancy novel stuff, just in the bushes with some leaves, and then you see just running dagger. All right, and then just leaving. After seeing 4 dagger plays in a row, hiding that from everybody.
Yeah, don't let everybody know the 3 safeties they're playing. Right?
Yeah. We can't let anyone know about this. Yeah,
it's a secret. So, I talked this. I'm not gonna say who told me this, but from an anonymous source, I was told that last year the reason why they did that is because the Raiders used to watch other people's camps on Twitter.
Oh, dang! They did that with when Miami with Joe Philbin, on the Raiders staff now. But I remember on Hard Knocks, he was really complaining because there were teams that just said we figured out their snap count through Hard Knocks. Like it's a thing. I mean, teams do that now. It's another way to find out. I mean, we get way too much access now as fans. I mean, we could find out that Byron Murphy didn't pay a person of Instagram. Found that out pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, the Chiefs posted their whole plays, all their plays on Twitter, right?
By the way, I saw a comment in there exactly summed up the Brock Bowers, why we should be excited about Brock Bowers. I forget who said it. It was a while back. Imagine the Chiefs with Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it would work for them, you should be happy he's on your team.
Exactly. Who was starting O-line? So it went Pete, Whitehair, James, Parham, Munford right now. Yeah.
Yep. Sweet.
So you feel how you feel about that? I mean, you kind of go with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's Colt Miller. I mean, you need 74. I mean, till I see him out there, I'm not really happy with the O-line.
What else? Anything else? So you want to talk about Dylan Lobby a little bit?
Yeah, and Tyree Wilson, real fast. Yeah, just nothing crazy. Okay. But
quickly mention what days they are practicing. Oh man, I don't have this. I don't have the schedule for you, bro. Like, but they practice Monday, and yeah, they started getting Monday, so I can tell you that Monday, and then Tuesday, and they're in pad. So if you want a day to go to Tuesday.
Gotcha.
I got you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So Dylan Lobby, Tyree Wilson. Lobby looks really good. I think he's good. I think he's gonna play over Maradula. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That's kind of my
dude. The minute I watched his when they drafted him, I remember him getting a lot of love from kind of the big draft head people that he was on a lot of people's. I think it was Connor Rogers, some of those guys that I respect, saying, watch out for this guy out of New Hampshire, Dylan Lobby. And I remember the Raiders took him. I said, wow, interesting. I hadn't actually watched him play. The minute I watched him, and I think it was Central Michigan, where he had 295 yards receiving, and he was averaging 24.5 yards per reception. I mean, he was getting downfield. He was winning as a receiver. And I said, man, the Raiders haven't had this in a long time. I don't even think Jalen Richard was as good as a receiver. Jalen Richard blocking was insane. So we'll see if that's the case with Lobby, though it does look like he has that in him. He's definitely that lunch pail guy. He better be able to do that. But that's a guy, man. I could see him I'll say this right now. I could see him having a shocking amount of receptions on this team, like in the 40s and 50s, like his rookie year. You just never know, because who's taking that job? Is Alexander Madison going to be the third down back on the Raiders? I don't think so. I think he'd be more of a change of pace from Zamir White. Kind of hope they do something else at that position besides the Madison. Sincere McCormick, does he have a huge camp? We'll see. And then Lauby's the guy on third down. And it's just him and Amir Abdullah, who we've seen Amir Abdullah. I don't see him being the receiving threat that Lauby is, albeit in college he was doing that too. But this Lauby is he was the only guy on that team worth a damn at New Hampshire. It's not like we're getting Alabama's third down back where it's maybe it wasn't as good in the pros. This is New Hampshire's back. It was the only guy they had to stop, and his offensive line was terrible. So I'm excited to see him.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Dylan Lobby. It's gonna be exciting to see him in preseason. I think he's gonna ball in preseason. That's when you're gonna get really excited. So, but who's a Chris Warren? It might be him. To be honest. Yeah.
But that wouldn't shock me. I don't think it would shock. At this point, I don't think a lot of Raider fans would be shocked that Dylan Lobby, because he just has such a pathway to. There's just not a James White on the roster right now. There's nobody there that even like an Austin Eckler, which I guarantee that's what Tom Telesco thinks he's drafting right now is with Lobby. Austin Eckler, he was taken earlier than Austin Eckler was.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah. That's exactly what he thinks. He thinks he's got.
That's what he thinks he has. Sure. So that to me means he's going to get the opportunity. Again, we'll see, but you got to love the guy. I mean, he just seems like he just loves playing ball. He seems like one of those guys that's going to work crazy. The Deuce Gruden effect on him is going to be crazy, I think. Eventually he's going to put on crazy muscle. So.
All right, man. Yeah, I like Bobby a lot, though. I really do. Like I said, he's going to add a kickoff return too, so it's going to be a lot of versatility with him. Let me get to this question. With 34 million cap space, Xavier Howard or use Hobbs? Xavier Howard's a big no after we did the film on him. Big no. Big no. Sorry. Big no.
Yeah.
Stephon Gilmore is a yes, but I would say Xavier Howard is a big NO for me. But Gilmore, maybe even Dory Jackson, some of those other guys, I think they have more upside, and I think Howard's just washed. He's just old. He's washed.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with Gilmore, though. Gilmore, he's old, but he's not washed at all.
He's just waiting. I don't think he wants to go to training. I feel like he just doesn't want to go to training camp. I feel like Stephon Gilmore's just been like, hey, chill for a sec, guys. Or he's waiting for like somebody on the Chiefs or the Bengals or something to like tear their ACL and then, waiting to see if that happens. He might want a pathway to like a top AFC team. But dang, Stephon Gilmore, bring him in. I just don't think they are. I don't think they're gonna hit that market to try to get the high end free agent corner. It doesn't seem like that's a concern to them. I don't.
We'll see though.
Tyree
Wilson. I see somebody talked about Tyree Wilson. Yeah, Tyree Wilson's a humongous human. I just want to say that dude is. I definitely went home today and I did a workout when I got back on Saturday after seeing that dude walk past me. I was like, you know what? I don't work out enough. That's what I was thinking to myself, Glenn, watching him walk through the room, because that is
it has to work. Like, it has to work. Like again, people are unfairly comparing him to Clelin Ferrell. They are completely different players. I understand that the Raiders took them in the top 10, therefore people will automatically compare them. But Tyree Wilson has an athletic upside, albeit he doesn't move the way that a lot of the Malcolm Kuntzes of the world move. But he's massive, and he is, to me, the guy that can turn the defense into elite. If you have Kuntz and Crosby doing what they do, doing what we expect them to do, and you have that third guy that you could move inside and outside, give people different looks. And if Tyree Wilson's able to make even just 6 or 7 splash plays where forcing a fumble, huge tackles for losses, just doing that a few times, if he's able to do that, that changes a few games for the Raiders. And we'll see if he ends up being the 7th overall pick and worth that. We'll see. I do think that there's still a floor of him flashing and just really maybe not taking over a game, but making that one big play where he just destroys a guard, gets in there, wrecks a play, jars a ball loose. And I just think fans are a little unfair. I think as Raider fans, we just don't get patient when we see a top 10 pick that doesn't just jump off the screen right away. And he's big enough to just beat some people off his size too, which Clelin Ferrell was not. So that is the one thing I want fans to keep in mind.
Yeah, and we don't know if he's gotten better yet too, because like I compare him to Jermaine Johnson. I saw somebody say he's stiff. So is Jermaine Johnson. And Jermaine Johnson is a baller. Now, I got an interesting question for you. So they haven't paid Malcolm Kuntz yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Jets had Bryce Huff. Okay. They let Bryce Huff go so Jermaine Johnson could start after Jermaine Johnson took a leap year 2. That could be a possibility, which it sounds crazy, and I think that would be crazy, but it could be a possibility. And I'm not saying that this is going to happen or they shouldn't pay Malcolm Kuntz, but Bryce Huff had a lot of upside too, and they decided to go with the guy that they drafted higher, right? So that would be interesting if he has a year similar to Jermaine Johnson, but they're going to move him inside because, that's what happened, this past during camp, is that they're moving him around everywhere. So that's going to be interesting with Wilson. I hope that doesn't happen. But I mean, this is the business. These guys are weird. So, who knows?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I say, you have this year plus 3 more years, technically, if you pick up Tyree's 5th year option. Again, we're way ahead of it. We need to see more from him before we even have this conversation. But let's just say that's the case. I think I think it's like pitching in baseball. You can never have enough of it. You want pass rushers. You want to go 8 deep. I think Bryce Huff is a good player, but he kind of feels like more of a Bud Dupree, that free, where you scheme up kind of that open rush for him. Whereas I think Kuntz's hand in the ground win with bend and stuff. So I think that is so coveted that I do think they're going to pay Malcolm Kuntz. And then again, you still have Tyree Wilson on the 3-year contract, and you just don't know who else is going to get hurt, who else is going to leave. How long do we have Max Crosby at his elite level? It might end up being a case where, I hate to talk about this, but 3 years from now, Max Crosby might be broken down a little bit from playing 100% of snaps. You don't want to say that. We don't want to say that. I just mean you want to set yourself up to not just be lost without one player. And I wouldn't do that. I think the Jets should have done that, but the Jets are also paying Aaron Rodgers. They're paying Aaron Rodgers. They're going to have to pay Garrett Wilson. They're going to have to pay Sauce Gardner. Perhaps they realized ahead of time, they're like, the Raiders, we're not quite there yet as far as the top end guys that are going to be coming up with contracts. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that, man. See a couple questions about Renfro. What do you guys think happened to Renfro? I think Renfro was just one. He was beat down by Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels was like, you're not running routes like that. That kind of just ruined his. And he basically went back to how he was in 2020 and 2019, which was just a kind of a decent slot receiver. That's really what he became once you took away the funky routes that Gruden just let him do at the last year. And that's what happened to him. And then, of course, I think the concussion really hurt him, too. I think the concussion.
Oh, sure. I mean, that was. I mean, we don't have to relive that. It was one of the worst sequences of events I've seen on a football field, like where it was just, okay, we lost the game. Hunter Renfro, hopefully he's alive. And he was never the same after. But also, one of the reasons Hunter Renfro, and I wasn't super mad about letting him go, is that a lot of teams now tend to not really want a slot only receiver. They want guys that play inside and outside, and they can give you looks. The teams want to put Adams in the slot, the Jeffersons. They want to be able to put these guys in there and just get them free releases. Where if you want to change things up, what are you going to do? Are you going to put Hunter Renfro outside? No, you have to take him off the field if you're going to put somebody else in the slot, unless you're going to do two slots. But he doesn't give you that much versatility. And I'd like to see Brock Bowers get some slot looks on this team. So, which is where he did a lot of work at Georgia. He did a sizable amount of work from the slot in Georgia. Now, also, you just don't want to. Hunter Renfro, I believe, played 5 years at Clemson. Plus 5 years. So he's got to be almost 30 right now, if not older. I mean, it's just also he's not as young as people think, either. So those days are over. I don't know why the Saints just haven't done it, just to have some friends of Carr on the team. I don't know why they haven't done that yet, but I'm not really interested in Renfro coming back.
Yeah, it's not too much that they're missing right now from that. So this is a good question. What position group has a tradable asset to get a cornerback like Yannick for Yasin?
That's a good one. Safety.
Yeah.
I don't want to, but that would be where you'd come from. Safety, tight end. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Harrison Bryant. I mean, I don't know what Harrison Bryant gets you, but there's guys there. Yeah, I don't know. I player for player trade, it happens, but not as much as people think.
It's rare.
It's tough to do because you have a guy that works in my system. It's usually coaching staffs that come from the same tree usually. So from my knowledge, or this guy's D-line coach is over there and we have their old, you're just putting a guy back where it was. Yannick ends up going with Gus Bradley, right? Back where he had success with the Raiders. So there's a lot of stuff like that. And I'm just, to me, go sign Adoree Jackson instead of trading for somebody, or give up a pick for Lattimore. I don't have interest in taking away depth. Raider fans, we need to get used to having depth, and that it's a good thing, and that you don't just need to be mad in my franchise mode and turn injuries off and then trade all your depth. It's not the way the NFL works.
Yeah, man. Bloody Raider 408, man. He's vicious, man. He's mentally soft. Just eating his ass up, bro.
That's San Jose's finest right there, man. Shout out San Jose.
I see, man.
Shark City.
He don't play, bro. He don't play.
Don't just come out in the 408 and just start talking about Hunter Renfro, dude. You'll just get.
You don't play, man. He's eating them up, bro.
San Jose's finest. Yeah, right there. 408. Shout out. Yep.
Oh man. What else? What else we got here? Let's see. Let's see the other more questions. You guys got any more questions before we get out of here? Kind of talked about training camp a little bit. Ready to get some more action this week, of course. Hopefully get some more in pads, and then we get to the preseason games here, man. We're getting soon. We're getting the exhibition, the wasted exhibition game next Thursday, with they hype up CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams, even though I could play
the Hard Knocks game, the Hard Knocks content game. Yeah, that's what it is.
Who's doing Hard Knocks this year?
It's the Bears. That's what I'm saying. Like, so it's literally a Hard Knocks game. It's nowadays. I'm pretty sure they're just going to put the Hard Knocks team in the Hall of Fame game every year. That's why they announce it. I bet you that's what's going to happen. Because remember, the Raiders were the year they were on Hard Knocks. I think they were Hall of Fame game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It just happens a lot. Like they do it for the extra episode of Hard Knocks, and it's a content game. Yeah.
Yeah, man, get to see who's your backup? That's what I'm saying. Like,
who is that? I know it's Daryl Bevel's their coordinator, which everybody's like hyped up on him for some reason, which is funny. But yeah, I don't know.
That's a good question. Where would I rank the quarterbacks? Third,
yeah, firmly third too. Bo Nix and Zach Wilson are not better. Yeah. No, Herbert is still Herbert. He's better than anybody on the roster. Quarterback. I think he's a beta quarterback, but at the end of the day, he's still good. You know, he's still good. Big arm, strong. Greg Roman's gonna have him in a body cast by the end of the year, but it's whatever.
Definitely on the beta scale for Herbert.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. Jim Harbaugh's gonna get on his nerves. He's too.
It's gonna be so.
He reads too much philosophy.
Oh, it's gonna be so funny. Oh man, I can't wait.
Which teams y'all keep an eye on in the preseason besides the Raiders? I just watch the rookies, man. I watch rookie quarterbacks as well.
Yeah. It's always fun to just see, the top picks, see how they're doing. That's always fun. You know, you come home like it's late at night and you see like the NFL Network replay and you're just like, there's that corner. You know, there's so-and-so who got drafted high. Obviously, you know, maybe take a look at Talise Fuaga, you know, or something, because, you know, that could have been a Raider. See how he's doing and stuff, but it's tough. Preseason's tough, man. I mean, we tend to miss football so much that we put more of an importance on preseason, especially for these top picks. They give them 5-year contracts for a reason. They take time, but it's fun to have the knee-jerk reaction too. So
yeah. So John Jenkins, he's been hurt.
Yeah,
I saw that question. Starting O-line. I mean, it's basically the same. It's just Miller and Jackson Powers Johnson out there. So it's Pete and Whitehair instead of the other three guys.
Left side's on ice.
So I'm gonna end it on this question. So too early to look at Drew Aller. So I'm gonna say this. So after I did leave that practice, I had a thought in my head that even though I think Aiden O'Connell's starter quarterback, I don't think he's ever gonna stop you from looking.
No. Alex Smith didn't stop the Niners. Alex Smith didn't stop the Chiefs. You know, if they're there, especially if you're knocking on the door, there's a lot. And I don't think the quarterbacks are going to go that high this year. So even if the Raiders are kind of good, they might be sitting there with Carson Beck on the board and be like, damn, Carson Beck, he might be better than Aiden O'Connell, with our first round pick. We don't know. It could be anybody, or the guy from Houston. There's gonna be a lot of opportunities, and a lot of teams. I think there's been 12 quarterbacks drafted in the first round the last couple of years. There's not going to be a lot of teams that are sprinting to the podium this year. Maybe a few, the Giants, like teams like that might be, maybe the Jets. We'll see what happens with Rodgers, but for the most part, the Raiders are going to be competing kind of. They're not going to be in that 6 going in the first 12 like this year. They might have a little bit more time to get one of these guys, even though nobody's excited about the class. They might have somebody fall to them without having that bad of a season.
Yeah. So you're saying Dak is.
I'll say this right now. There's a case for Dak. There's a case for Dak that nobody wants to hear because people are sick of the Cowboys. Nobody wants to hear.
They don't like Dak, man.
But he's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's okay. He has the Tony Romo fatal flaw of not being good in the playoffs. However, I also think Dallas sucks to play in if you're not winning a Super Bowl every year. It's like the Yankees. Like if you got him out of there, I don't want the 60 million tag sucks. So that's when I'm Shark Tank. I'm out. But
yeah,
I will say he's also in his 30s though. So it's like all these guys that are getting 60 million are like 25. So I'm kind of like, I know Kirk Cousins got money, but maybe that market slows down a little bit. The older quarterback market slows down slightly. And if it's 40, I know that sounds crazy. If it's 40 and they don't have anything else and they're a veteran team, you got Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams, and these guys, and you get him indoors in Vegas. Vegas isn't Dallas. We'll be happy with wild card playoff games every year. For a couple of years. I'm not as out as everybody else is. And if he was on their team this year, like I said, I'd be way more excited. If he was on the Raiders,
even on the team this year, like I think the Raiders would have a playoff team. I think they even have a little bit of Super Bowl expectations.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like you can't sit here and say, "Oh, I would never take it," and then you'd be like, "Well, yeah, but what if he was on the team this year?"
Because the thing with Dak Prescott is a great regular season quarterback.
Yeah,
he's great in the regular season. He's going to give you like 35 touchdowns. You're going to have the Cowboys have the best offense, best scoring offense in the league every year. It's just when you get to the playoffs, it's frustrating, bad. Right? It gets frustrating to watch him in the playoffs sometimes. So that's the thing with him, right? It's like you have the number one offense in football. It's just when you get to where it matters, is it him or is it the Cowboys, right? But to be honest, I wouldn't mind having the best offense in football sometimes.
That's what I mean. And we don't know that about Romo. We never saw Romo play for anyone else. We never I'm not saying Dak gets you a Super Bowl. I'm just saying if you get me to the dance, we haven't had that. We gave Carr 10 years and it really didn't happen regularly. And if you're building a good team, again, Barry in the comments knows where I'm going. Josh Allen all day. I'm manifesting it. I haven't said it this episode, so thank you for reminding me. I've said it every time I'm on here. Josh Allen, Bills meltdown. He had violent exit from the team. I'm out of here. I hate this. Throwing the headset. I would love to be in Vegas. Closer to home, I should say.
Yeah, closer to the Bay.
closer to Central California than ice cold Buffalo. What am I going to do? I'm getting older, bro. I don't want my bones hurt. I don't want to be out here. I want to play indoors in Vegas where I torch the Raiders.
Now that guy, he'll get $60 million from me. I'll say that.
Bro, come on. Yeah, that's just I had to 65. Say it. I had to say it. I'm just saying, Dak is not. Dak is. Nobody has a regular opinion about Dak Prescott, and that's because he's the Cowboys quarterback. Nobody has a regular quarterback.
My bad, dude. To answer this question, Tuesday.
Nice.
But yeah, Tuesday I'll be doing my.
Vegas is just like Fireball, California. That's pretty funny.
All right, all right, guys. We're out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I saw we got a new subscriber here. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, you gotta hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. So really appreciate you guys all joining us today to get a quick review of training camp. And yeah, share this episode. Join the membership, guys. Support the TDL merch too. Get some merch as well. And then support the channel. Join the membership because the memberships can be revving up when preseason starts. You're gonna get way more content there because I'm gonna have some brand new film, guys. The brand new films coming.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that. So appreciate you guys joining us, and we are out of here.
All right, guys.